What's up, everybody? Destroyer here. Welcome back to another cast of the Rise of the Lich King, patch 2.2, version 6. Today we have a 2v2 on Buckland. And our first player in this matchup is Maudd as the Dwarves on the top left. His ally for this matchup is SpecialGuest as the Goblins. The opposing team we have Luke as Mordor in the bottom left. In the bottom right, his ally is SaMuRaI as Dwarves. So we got Dwarves and Mordor versus Dwarves and Goblins. Excellent. And luckily the Dwarves are not against the Dwarves directly, so that's always good. Nobody wants to watch a Dwarven mirror. I mean, they can be interesting, but of course not always. Interesting. SpecialGuest stirring his Goblin Cave. And deciding to go for a Spider Pit. So he's going to go for a Spiderling start, it looks like, instead of a Goblin Cave. An on-the-fly decision. And we got a Hall of Warriors here from Maudd going down. And of course I'm sure he'll throw up a forward mine somewhere as Dwarves later soon. Luke's throwing up an Orc Pit there. And of course we'll probably have a... No, we don't. We have an archer range from SaMuRaI. So he's actually going to go for a different start than the other Dwarf. So he's going to go for Axe Throwers. I'd imagine we'll have Guardians. Indeed, we'll have Guardians from Maudd here. And there is a forward mine in the front. SpecialGuest space. And he's getting his first battalion of Spiderlings out. Spiderlings are actually very good at harassing Dwarves. Quite strong, in fact, because they're very, very fast. They're obviously Dwarves are very, very slow. And exiting mines can be a real ball ache. So harassing Dwarves with Spiderlings is actually very effective. And of course, your fastest unit to counter them is your Battle Wagon. And it turns out Battle Wagons are weak to Spiderlings, so actually a little bit of a problem if you think about it, but well, there you go. Personally, I think Spiderlings may be a bit too strong against Battle Wagons, obviously. I agree, they're good. They're a good cav counter, and they should be that way, kind of. But at the same time, they do need nerf against Battle Wagons, which is upcoming in the next patch. I believe they're getting 5 or 10%. I think 5% is too small. Hopefully it's 10 against Battle Wagons specifically. So that should be useful for the Dwarves, of course. And they cleaned up those Axe Throwers pretty nicely. I know they're working down that mineshaft easily. Look at that. War Chance Spiderlings kill a mineshaft basically in 3 volleys of strikes. And now they'll start working their way through these unupgraded Axe Throwers as well. So far, things not looking good for SaMuRaI, it's gotta be said. Although Maudd, pushing in, seems to be doing fairly well against the hordes of orcs being sent at him. Although the archers are picking him off. He's... almost forward mine is up there, it looks like. And it looks like Luke is sending the hordes and hordes of orcs to try and slow him down. Of course, Maudd is going to continue to press troops into the front lines through his mineshafts. Looks like the outpost was taken by Luke, but knocked down probably by SpecialGuest's Goblins, I would imagine, his Spiderlings. And there you go. The first wave of Maudd's has been fended off. And he did save the slaughterhouse. There probably was a slaughterhouse here at some point, but it got destroyed as he rebuilt it there, though. Or maybe it wasn't there to begin with, and he just built it. I don't know, but either way, it looks like he's in a good spot. And now the Spiderlings are in his base. You would think Axe Throwers would be a good counter to Spiderlings. They're not bad, but no, they'll obviously far better. But I think the Axe Throwers aren't nearly as good because of the range, really. And their armor is just not amazing against Spiderlings, or just anything in general, because they're an archer unit of sorts. So they're not incredibly good against the Spiderlings. But it's hard to judge because the Spiderlings that were sent at him were buffed, so it's hard to say there, but we'll see how that turns out later, I guess. Anyway, Maudd is pushing forward with 2 battalions of Guardians. This battalion is Phoenix as well. Luke has Orcs and Orc Archers to defend here. And it looks like SpecialGuest has also sent some Spiderlings. He does have Poison Venom Sacks, rather, equipped to his horde there. Looks like one of them does fall. The Orc Archers do pretty decently well against the Spiderlings, as you see. So Archers are pretty effective. That's really how you gotta stop those Spiderlings, I'd say. Looks like SaMuRaI is going for an attack here on SpecialGuest's base. On the southern side and the northern side. SpecialGuest could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's brought back all his lings to try and deal with this menace. Actually, each volley of the Axlor does pretty decent damage to those. So they are fairly effective against them. It's just the health issue, I guess. Once they get close, they start taking a lot of damage. But that's really how it is with any archer unit, so you can't really judge too harshly on that one. Looks like Maudd has sent over some dwarves to assist in the defense of SpecialGuest. Axlors on Axlors. Guardians on Phalanxes. What does this world come to? And there is indeed enough for everybody. Or maybe not. He's going to have to go elsewhere to get some more dwarves, it looks like. There's some in the back here, though, that he still has to deal with. Also have a Spider Holes expansion being thrown up by SpecialGuest to help defend his base, which is a good call. Very effective against dwarves, since they're very heavy on the melee infantry that they try to get up to their fort. Those are very effective at slowing them down and picking them off, whittling them down nicely. I think they're one of the better fortress defensive structures, in my opinion. At least against melee units. Those mine launchers are pretty good. Floodgates, expansion is pretty good, obviously, for melee defense. Alright. It looks like he should be able to fend off Luke's attack here with just the dwarves, I think. SpecialGuest probably doesn't even have to get involved there. The dwarves are attacking here as well, picking up the last remaining troops of SaMuRaI. Although SaMuRaI, of course, not sitting back doing nothing. He's built a whole other army and sent it up. Give it a nice rally cry. And now he'll push in once again against SpecialGuest. So got a forward mine here in the center. And here, which is on the edge of his base, so. Let's see what Maudd is doing here. He looks like he's going for an attack. Or Luke, rather. Against Maudd. Maudd does have Men of Dale in his ranks now, which is always nice. Dwarves, of course, outclassing the orcs, as it should be. And they'll be just fine, I think. Looks like the main battle line is going over here. Lots and lots of dwarves involved over here. Got some goblin archers, some SpecialGuest as well. I feel like they're pushing SaMuRaI back, though. At least it feels that way. Although SaMuRaI on the minimap has a lot more troops here than the opposing team, so perhaps not. There is the Hobbit summon, though. Vile Galadriel immediately being used. Cause fear. This delayed reaction on the phalanxes there, though. They didn't want to run away. These guys didn't even see them run away. They're only level 2. They don't have fear resist until level 5, so that's interesting. Unless banners don't give you fear resist. What am I saying? This gives you level 2. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't run. But looks like the hobbits are doing good work here with their Silverthorn rocks. They're, of course, not called Silverthorn rocks. It's just called Rock Throw. But they look like Silverthorn rocks, so that's why I call them that all the time. And we have Mouth of Sauron out for Luke, level 1, so he'll fresh Mouth of Sauron. He's almost level 2 though. He's going for another attack on Maudd. Maudd has quite the force ready to engage, although we have a Tainted Land being thrown down. Maudd beaconing. He might need help. I think he'll be okay though. He's got a lot of dwarves here. He's got Men of Dale supporting. Ah, yes, there you go. One of the Tainted Land override. And it looks like the Spiderling flank as well. It seems the Orcs are just dwindling away now. Mouth of Sauron will retreat. SpecialGuest still utilizing a nice Spiderling army. Later on the game goes, the less you see Spiderlings generally, the more you see Spider Rider armies. But Spiderling armies are still useful. Very much so. They tend to not stack up as well, of course, against a full late game army, as it were. It's very heavy on the archer side. Of course, you're going to want Spider Riders and stuff for that, so you can actually trample those. Or just go in the bow mode and shoot them dead. It's up to you, really, but either way kind of works. And in comes SaMuRaI once again. He's got what, like 4 battalions of pikes, 4 battalions of axlers there. Malthasar needs to be a little bit careful, as he does not have a pike resistance, of course. Let's see what's going on over here. Looks like Maudd is pushing in against Luke. So utilizing his black arrows, which causes enemy monsters to flee, but they also do pretty good damage as well. So they're just worth using in general. Some players argue that it's not worth using some things like poison arrows or something, because you just lose, because they stop a little bit to do the animation. I personally think it's still kind of worth it. Plus, just nicest to use them, I guess. But things like black arrows and especially barbed arrows from Haradrim, I think those are especially effective, especially on heroes. Things of that nature, they're very good to use when possible. And of course, in 2.02, you can auto-cast them by just right-clicking the ability if you have it available, which is also very nice. Looks like we get a giant sentry? Is that what they're called? The fuck is that building called? I'll just go like this. There's the barrage. Giant sentry, yeah. Barrage obliterating the army. Well, so much for them. And now he's got a battle wagon tanking a bunch of arrows. For what reason, I'm not sure. He probably wasn't paying attention, because he could have easily trampled the Men of Dale and Goblin Archers there before they showed up. So that's too bad. A missed opportunity, but at least he saves his battle wagon. Ooh, that sounds like a lot of damage there from the Men of Dale and the pikemen. That's the thing. Malthasaran's a great hero, but you have to be very careful of him. I mean, the same could be said with any horse hero. Hell, the Witch King, Angmar Witch King is incredibly strong, but the fact he's on a horse makes him obviously weak to pikemen, which is dangerous for such an expensive hero. But the same really goes for anything. The Felbeast Witch King from Mordor is also incredibly weak because he's on a flyer, which is weak to arrows. You just really gotta take into account the situation, I guess. But playing with a cabin especially can be a bit dangerous, especially when you have lag or you're not the host. Because, of course, you might just accidentally run into something because you couldn't move in time. Or delay or what have you. It can be a bit tricky. Or Felwind, of course. Which is not obviously going to be in this game, but Felwind is a real bitch against horses. As I'm sure we all know. Many of us probably felt the pain of Felwind on our cav right into some pikes. And it don't feel good. It looks like things are going well for SaMuRaI, I feel like. He's pushing forward quite aggressively. He's got a forward hearth, he's got a forward tower with some axors in it. Also, oh no, they're not his. Looks like Maudd has a defensive situation here with a hearth and a statue. So they're going to hold here. It's a very bold tunnel placement, I'll admit. Of course, if the Axor Tower actually starts attacking, it'll go down pretty quickly. And there is the Wildman summon. Are those... Those are indeed special guests? Of course they are. Who else would they be? Looks like the battle wagon's made pretty short work of them, although he did lose one battle wagon there. Got a bit of a brutal fight over the tower here. I think it'd be doing a little better if Maudd's archers were actually helping. Now they're shooting. They weren't shooting because of the line of sight from the tower, it seems. But they could, of course, reposition to actually help with that. It looks like he's over here moving his troops. So he's not really paying attention to what these are doing, which is fair enough. And there's the black arrows once again. They got pretty good range as well. It feels like the black arrows have more range than the actual archer attack. So that's another reason you could use it. As they fired off their arrows and then stopped firing because they didn't have range. Which is quite interesting because I didn't actually know that. What level's Malthasaran? Ah, level 5, nice. Level 7, of course, he gets Evil Eye, which is very strong against single targets. It also does a little bit of splash damage, though. So if you say you casted it to this guy, it'd probably kill, like, that many, something like that. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'm pretty sure it does. I remember when it was incredibly overpowered in BF Me 2, patch 1.00 on the Xbox. That was a fun time. You just basically insta-kill a hero with it. Thank God that's not the case anymore, but it's still quite useful. Apparently it does a lot of damage to Balrog, if you didn't know that. So the more you know. We have a Gothmog out in the field as well for Luke. Fencing off against Mordor. Oh no. Gandalf. He's dead. Rip. Samwise the Brave did not defend his comrade very well, did he? But Maudd is making ground. Luke does have quite the force here, but is it enough? I'm not so sure. If he uses Doubt, perhaps he'll have a chance here. But we have some Men of Dale level 5 over here, so I mean, that's not pretty. And there's a Men of Dale summon there, is the rally call. Oh boy, and they're just going to eat through the Mordor army. They don't stand a chance against this amount of Men of Dale. I would definitely say Maudd is going to be victorious over here. Let's have a look over here. Looks like they're fending off as well. SaMuRaI still being quite aggressive, which is good. Very good indeed. Hopefully he can keep up that. But, of course, if his ally is not doing well by himself, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Because if Luke can't hold off Maudd here, obviously he's going to have to go help his ally. And then he won't be in a position to do much. Because Maudd's in a position where he can attack and he can still defend his ally with these level 5 Men of Dale. Almost level 5 Men of Dale here. So they're in a good spot. And Luke not getting so much help from his ally because his ally is busy, of course. So he did try to send a battle wagon, though. Got a little bit of guys dead. We just have so many Men of Dale. Some of these will disappear soon, though, if they just wait it out. Catapult expansion there. Good call. As it does have fairly good range. And pretty decent attack power against the archers. So that'll be helpful. But I do feel like the top team has taken control of this game. And now SaMuRaI and Luke are in trouble. Because Maudd is really gaining control, I would say. I know it's a bit expensive. I don't know if Luke could afford it. But I definitely see Black Riders would be incredibly useful here. Especially against this amount of Men of Dale. Without fire arrows, no less. They would eat these alive. But as you see here, even this will eat these alive. Just swamp them with a lot of Goblin archer, or Orc archers rather, Gothmog, and a Tainted Land. And it seemed to clean out majority of his guys. Also not this Harn, of course, with his Doubt ability. Maudd didn't lose full battalions, though, it looks like, for the most part. He's got 2 level 5 ones still alive there. He's got some in the tower as well that are probably level 5, I would imagine. So he's doing pretty well on that front. He can always go pull them back and they'll heal up. So it's not too big of a deal. And SpecialGuest still continuing to push forward. Looks like he's finally making ground, though. And Maudd is, of course, accompanying him with his Men of Dale. Just continue to keep him safe, keep him secret. Although I'm sure he's very much not secret. Black Orcs are being sent to the phalanxes there. Would be a great choice if the Men of Dale weren't eating them alive, of course. And we get to hear that death scream that everyone loves. Fucking I hate the Black Orc death scream, it's so bad. It's not that it's a bad death scream, it's just it's overpowering and often. And when you hear an Orc death scream, it's like ah every now and then. It's not like bah! Ooh, and there's the evil eye. There you go. Actually, it has a wider range than I was thinking. Look how wide it killed. That was pretty good. It's actually a decent AoE damage ability. It takes out about half of a battalion or so. So that's pretty good. But perhaps not going to be enough, I don't think. If you can get to level 10, though, Descent could be incredibly useful. Rarely do I see a Descent in a 2.02 Rise of the Witch King game. I would love to see it and actually see them kill each other. Because, of course, Descent makes your own units attack each other. And it's not something you see used too often. Because Malthasar 10 has to get to level 10. So if you can do that, that'd be very interesting. I think Catapults would have been a good choice. I think he's going too late on the Siege. If Luke went away with Siege first, a little quicker, I don't think he would have died, but it looks like he's going to die here. And of course his ally will follow suit. Gothmog's gone full tomato, giving no shits, and he'll burst down King Dane without any remorse. King Dane falls, unfortunately for him. His fortress still being attacked by Gloin. Going for the slam, does decent damage, and down goes the fortress of Luke. Down goes Gothmog as well. And yeah, he's pretty much dead. He had the right idea, but a little too late, unfortunately. And there goes Luke. But on other news, the ring has been claimed by SaMuRaI. I don't foresee him getting a Galadriel anytime soon. He's... yeah. There you go. He's done. Alright, well there you go. The top team is victorious. They took good map control. Luke did not build any siege weapons or Black Riders against an overwhelming amount of archers. So I think that really cost him the game. But if he was doing better, I think SaMuRaI would have probably won his side. He was doing very well until Maudd actually helped him out quite a bit with his Men of Dale, so good win out of the way. But there you go, that's the way it went. Well played to both teams, good match, and I will see you guys in the next cast of the Rise of the Witch King Patch 2.2 version 6. See you all next time.